Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. Thank you all for being here. This is going to be a fun one today. I am definitely looking forward to this. So if you are new here, thanks for joining. This is a weekly live stream where I just talk about video stuff that I've been playing with and trying out and answer questions about live streaming, whatever you want to talk about. So feel free to say something in the chat. Let me know where you're joining from, as people have been doing during the intro. And yeah, thankfully there's a lot less heat in Portland this week. We are back to normal hot summer weather, not ridiculous hot summer weather. So that's been really nice. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Andre, yes, the sound level, the music sounds are lower, and I just now realized what happened. For some reason, SlingStudio that I used last week for the actual stream, when you bring in audio from a browser, it's just really loud. So I had to turn my browser volume down in the browser itself of like the players that are playing the music and the sound effects. So I totally forgot about that, and I forgot to bring it back up today, because today we are back on my normal setup, ATEM Mini, streaming to YouTube directly, no funny business. So yeah, back in the studio today because it is now a reasonable temperature in here, and I don't have to hide out in air conditioning. So before we talk about the Streamix, the very exciting new switcher, I do want to actually give you a quick update about the chat extension. So my Chrome chat extension, which I just dropped a link in the chat, that is how I've been showing live comments from the live stream in the YouTube video. And I just published an update to it to make it actually a lot more useful for more people. You can now bring in the comments as a browser source into software like OBS or into SlingStudio. And of course, in OBS, you can use it in your OBS streams, or you can output it over a deck link card, so you can actually get key fill, chat, proper transparency in your streams. But I'll show you what that looks like. And I want to give you a little quick tutorial of how to use it now. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward. So the first thing I want to do to show this is actually show you from my YouTube studio. All you do is you go pop out chat like normal. That's going to give you this little pop-up. Previously, this is the window you would bring into your window capture or output this over a second monitor, which meant you had to be able to actually interact with the chat here. So what I did was I made a new little option up here called Get Overlay URL. And if you click on that, that will give you a little URL here. It doesn't wrap very well. There we go. And if you bring this into OBS, you can actually then capture just the chat. I can actually just go open this in a new window, though. If I just go load this in a new tab, I'll make it a little smaller so I can have them side by side. Then go ahead and if you tap one of these messages, like this one from Chris, you'll see it now over here in this standalone window. I do want to mention there's one trick you have to do, which is if you are planning to use this in OBS or in something that can actually bring in a browser source, you do want to go over to the extension settings. So here's the extension settings for this. Go down to extension options and change your background. I don't know why it types backwards sometimes. Transparent. There we go. And go ahead and save that. And you will need to then reload the chat window, pop-out window. Now you can see how the background is transparent. So now when I go and push one of these over, it should, let me go ahead and open this window again. There. Now it's loading with the transparency, and there it is. So this is not actually white, it's actually transparent. So when you bring it into OBS, it will show it properly. So for example, if I go into my OBS, which is doing my actual chat right now, or the full-on graphics, I'll just make a new one for testing. We'll say Chrome chat overlay, and then we'll make a new browser source here. We'll call it chat overlay. My naming convention is great. Paste that URL here. Make sure it's 1920 1080. You don't need this custom CSS. And this is now loading it up, and you can see that it's actually going to be transparent. So as I click one of these, you can see that it is actually, in fact, overlaying. And I should have put an image behind it so I can prove that it is actually transparent, but that's too much work, so forget it. Yeah, it is transparent. Question from Chris: will you remove the bubble from the pop-up and see it only on the browser window? I should get rid of this little bottom section. Oh yeah, it's actually working. You can see it's my OBS is set to output over my decklink card, which is on the stream. So that's why you are in fact seeing that on the stream. But let me go back to the other one, which is my normal show graphics. And yes, I should update the plugin one more time to get rid of this little bottom section when you are in the pop-out mode. Not quite sure how I want to do that. Probably if you click the button, it should just go away, because that would you don't really need it on this window anymore. And then it's only on the remote window. Patrick asks, is there a way to push it to another server? I'm thinking I'd like to push it to my own or local server like a Raspberry Pi. You can bring this into anything. It does not have to be on the same computer. Notice that it's actually on my website, chat.rpk.tv. It does mean that I am running a little service for this. Thankfully, it does not require much server resources at all to do it. There's no real server-side code. It's just sort of the transport of pushing the actual text content. It's not like PHP or anything. So the answer is, yeah, you can bring this into anything. You can bring it into OBS, you can bring it into SlingStudio, grab that URL. In fact, if you actually just copy this URL literally, you'll see the messages as I'm clicking them also. Because these are the little codes that tie the sessions together between your pop-out window and the overlay window. So that is the update, and yeah, pretty excited about that. Okay, let me get back to my actual chat though, so that I can actually see your comments. Oh yeah, the version. If your browser is auto updating, which it probably is, you'll have it already. If not, make sure you have version 0.2.2. That's the one that has the new pop-out feature. All right, let me go back to the chat here. Where has the video projector gone? It generated too much heat, and it is too warm for me to run it and heat the room up that quick today. So maybe it's a winter time thing, or maybe I will be fancy and get a short throw, which will be a lot cooler. Oh yeah, somebody else answered that already. Okay, any other questions about the chat plugin? Yeah, what version is that? And reminder, if you do have a question for me, mention my name or just question at the beginning, and it'll sort it differently into my little chat window here. Can we, oh, what I'm asking is, can I run my own service to bring in the chat instead of running on your server? You can. So if you go to the project page for it, let me go back to the Chrome extension and show you how to find this. If you go to the extension page, there is a link to the website, which is actually just a link to the GitHub page. This is the source for the extension, which you don't need to worry about, but I have a section down here that will be running on your own remote server. If you click on that link, it takes you to this project, which is actually not much code at all. It is mostly just instructions, and it tells you exactly step by step what you need to do to run it on your own server. So you have to basically use Nginx with this module, and there's installation instructions for how to do that. Here's a sample config for configuring the server. This is all it takes. And then it takes one HTML page, which is in here. Oops, nope, it's in the overlay folder. And this is the actual source of the pop-out window, which is the thing that's going to go and subscribe to that server to get the chat messages sent to it. And this is now where all of the styles and formatting and stuff are done. So you can absolutely run that on your own server. I'll just drop this link in the chat as well. Here is the remote server configuration instructions. And if you're watching the replay of this, scroll back because I just described what's in here. Okay. Any other questions? Yep, frees up another input. That's my thought exactly. We really need to get you a portable AC. I am this close to installing a proper AC in the wall. I think I might just make that happen because it gets very warm in here very quick. Any chance that Facebook comments will be included in an update? So I don't use Facebook, so I'm not gonna be the one that writes that code. But the way that this works now of having the chat interaction, like the chat pop-out window, different from the thing that's displaying it, means it's actually gonna be a lot easier and quicker to add new services. So I am planning on working on at least Restream, because Restream will grab chat from all the different platforms, and then it will just support a bunch by default. And if anybody wants to add other ones, that's fine too. And the way we can do it is by not having the actual chat window have to do the displaying, which means it's less work for the custom service specific stuff. So I am looking forward to being able to add more services in the future. Mini split air conditioner is much quieter. Yeah, I have a mini split upstairs, and I think I'm going to get a new compressor that can handle 2 dual zone, and then I can run 1 up, 1 down, and it is nearly silent. It's fantastic. How is your audio so crisp and your mic is far away? Can you show this and how it's set up? Yeah, I can. So I think I even have the right camera for it with me. I've got my little ZV-1 on the wireless Hollyland rig today. So what I can do is I can show you from over here. Where is it? So this is what I'm looking at, and my desk. If you look right up there, there's the microphone. So it's actually a lot closer than you might think. It's this far away from me, pointing down at my face. So I've just got on a little arm held out in front of the computer so that it's a lot closer to my face. And this is the little Movo VXR10, which I just like it. I've been using it forever. So that's how far away it is from me. On the table, I have a similar setup, but it's a different microphone, but it's also about the same distance away, poking down. Okay. I think we got... No, I see a couple other questions before we continue on. Oh yeah, DeckSaver cover for the ATEM Extreme is available now on the DeckSaver website, UK. Fantastic news. I hadn't heard that yet, so that's awesome. But the DeckSaver covers are great, and I am glad that the Extreme version is now available. Thank you. Is input 1 different than inputs 2 to 4 on the ATEM mini series? Yeah, so on the original ATEM, actually I don't remember if it's on the, no, it's on all the ATEM minis. The 4 input ATEM minis, input 1 has a different HDMI chip compared to the other 3, and on the Extreme, inputs 1 and 2 have that chip, and the rest have the regular one. The difference, it is a completely different HDMI chip, so you will probably see differences in certain things you're connecting to it. So depending on the strength of the signal and the length of the cable and all that stuff, they might behave differently. The reason they put a different chip in there is for the pass-through mode, the special pass-through mode, where you can go into your ATEM software control. I can just show you this. If you go to your output tab, this is the extreme, but there is the output 1 can be set to main, your input 1 direct. Output 2 can be set to the input 2 direct mode. And direct is the super low latency mode, where that's how you use it for like gameplay. If you're trying to capture your game from a computer, plug your computer into input 1, and then you can output with no latency out the HDMI so that you're not seeing delayed reactions. And the other difference is input 1 is the one if your ATEM is set into auto mode. So if you're, where is it? Here, if you go to your video standard, if you set your video standard to auto, then it will base it off of input 1. But I like to just set mine manually so I know what mode I'm in. Okay. Scrolling down. Oh, Mark. Hey, Mark. Good to see you. Hopefully I can come back to Germany soon. Do you use a very heavy noise gate? I can hear some noise the millisecond you stop speaking, but then it gets gated away. Yeah. There's a couple of fans in here, so there's a little bit of noise. And I do have a noise gate on it, and it looks like this. So you can see the gain reduction is, if I stop talking, it's going to clamp back down. And that gets rid of the little noise. If I turn these off, you'll hear it. So now this is just the noise of the room. It's not too bad, but I do prefer it with the expander and compressor on it. How close is the color matching between your G7 and the ZV-1? Not terribly. That's one of the things I'm not super happy about, and I haven't done too much work to try to clean it up. The ZV-1 does have color correction internally that I can do. I may have tweaked it at some point, but I have not spent a lot of time on it. Okay, so I think we are ready to hop over the table and try this out. So what I want to do, let me go and drop this link into the chat for the timestamps. Okay, this is the Streamix M1, and I'm gonna hop over to the table. See you in a second. Okay. Audio. Yes, audio switched over. So I am super excited to show you the Hollyland Streamix M1. This is a fascinating new device with a lot of interesting things built in. So I'm going to go through a couple of the features. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat as well. So feel free to drop in questions and I'll get to them when it makes sense. There's a lot in here. So we're going to go through this kind of in some sort of order that makes sense, I hope. So first things first, let's take a look at the device. This is what it looks like. It is a monitor built into this box, and you can see all the cables are attached to the back of it. So I've got all of my sources plugged in, and it's showing me little previews of all the sources here. So I've got a camera over on the side here. This is the Sony RX0. I've got my little crappy SDI camera for the wide shot on that side. This is my Blackmagic Pocket 4K. And this is that overhead camera, the Sony a6400. Those are the 4 ports on the back. So there are 2 SDI ports and 2 HDMI ports. And those are your first four inputs. Now they advertise it as a 6-input switcher. And that's because there are 2 other sources you can bring in, but they aren't cables. So the first one is a network source, and the second one is a video playback. So if I go over to my little video playback section, and switch to that input, I can now play video clips from the device. I'll show you how to load clips in a little bit. But that is considered one of the sources. So another source is a network source. And this one's interesting because you get a bunch of different options. I'm going to actually show you the multi-view or the Streamix output itself so you can get a better view of this. But if we go into the network source config, you can see that you can actually just bring in an RTSP stream from another camera. So this is a encoder that's on my network that I've brought in, and it happens to actually be plugged into the multi-view of my ATEM. So when I go and switch to that source, you'll see that it's the multi-view of my ATEM. You can see that it's recording and streaming, and now we're going to get a little infinite tunnel effect, but you get the idea. So that is the network source. Now you can add other things as well, like they have some settings for IP cameras, which I don't have any like actual PTZ cameras, but it does have PTZ control also. And then I have not been able to figure this one out. I think it's for their other product that is the it's actually mentioned in their manual, so bear with me. It is the wireless transmitter software features. They actually have screenshots of every screen in here. They had a diagram of it. No, I can't find it. Anyway, it's one of their other Hollyland. Oh, there it is. The Syscom 421. It's a 4-channel wireless video thingy, which sounds very expensive. But that's what that tab is for. And then there's also Live Plus, which is for streaming from phones. And that is also pretty cool. So I'll show you that in a little bit as well. So, okay, those are your 6 inputs. So you have 4 wired ones, 2 that are special. One is for video playback, one is for network sources. However, you actually can reconfigure any of your wired inputs to also be network. So if you didn't want to use 2 SDI inputs, you could instead go and grab your phone and connect your phone as one of the inputs instead. So, and that'll take the place of one of the wired ones, which is pretty cool. Because not everybody actually has 2 SDI and 2 HDMI sources. So yeah, pretty flexible options there that you get because you can reassign the wired ones into as network sources. Okay, those are the inputs. Are there any scalers built in to the HDMI SDI ports? I actually am not 100% sure about that, but I suspect there are because I haven't done anything other than plug these in. So I was able to just plug in all of my sources and they all worked without any fiddling, and they definitely are different frame rates. I know that they're not all set to the same frame rate because some of these cameras are just different frame rates. So I suspect they do all have scalers. Okay, so those are the inputs. Let's go through the software interface here. There's a couple of other really cool things it can do as well. And that is graphics. So let's talk a little bit about graphics. This has quite a range of options for adding graphics. This is the little graphics tab. You can see I'm on this top one on the little sidebar here. And you can configure your graphics in this little window. And then you can just tap one to queue it. This is the one little weird thing about the interface. There is this little button here. And when you select something from down here, you then have to tap that to push it into the program. And then you tap it to bring it back down. So you can bring that into the program. You can go and bring this into the program. And then you can take them back out individually. Took me a minute to figure that one out, but because it's very different than the other kinds of devices I've used, but it's not too bad. To get graphics in here, you can go and load new graphics. They actually ship with a whole bunch of these little funny icons. There's just a bunch of silly stuff in here. And I don't know if I would ever use any of these, but some of these might be kind of fun. We'll go ahead and say yes. So then you can go and just drag. This is probably better if I show my finger. You can drag it around to move it. You can, I think you can resize it too. Yeah, you can resize it. We'll try to make it so that it looks like it's next to my face. And then when you've got it set, click OK. And now I can, I missed. It's a little bit too low. Well, you get the idea. So you can just load in graphics from the built-in ones, or you can load your own custom ones. So this actually has an entire hard drive in it, and you can load in video and images from the hard drive, from a USB drive, load into the hard drive. So let me show you how to do that. You go into the settings menu, and so there's a whole bunch of different settings here. We're going to talk first about this file transfer tab. And I have a USB drive plugged in. There it is. It's just plugged into the back here. And these are the files on the USB drive. So I can go and tap one of these, copy it over. Oh, I was in the wrong folder. So let me go back up here, go to the picture folder, and I can copy the overlay. Now I've got a new graphic there called overlay. And when I go back into here and go add a new picture, now in the My Picture tab, I have this. I made that 1920 by 1080, so it fits nicely. And then I will bring it on air. Okay, so do overlays always just pop on and off, or is it possible to put transition to animate them in any way? Let's see. Like I said, I've just got this, so I'm not totally sure. I don't see any options for adding transitions into here. It looks like it's just on or off. So I'm going to say no. I could be wrong, but we'll figure that out more as we go. Okay, so that's graphics. It's pretty straightforward. It does come with a bunch of these images, but you can also bring in your own from a USB drive. There is also text generators. It also can do lower thirds built in. So I'm going to go over to the CG tab, and you can actually go and create your own lower thirds. And again, it ships with a bunch of templates. So we've got, they have these little categories. I don't really understand their categorization of some of these. Education, entertainment, I guess those are a little more entertaining. Live, news, those do look a little bit more news-like. There's some sports ones. Oh, they have like a basketball on them. There's business and main hot content. Cool. And then there's, when you customize them, they'll go into here. So let's go ahead and add a news one. Let's grab that. And now you can see it's letting me go and edit. And now it's just like fully editable. So I think you double tap it. No, click on it. It's, again, might help if you can see what I'm touching. If I click on that, there we go. So now I can type, a little keyboard pops up and I can type in like my name. Oh, where's the space? The keyboard being in a grid is a little bit funny. It takes me longer because it's not laid out like a regular QWERTY keyboard. Okay, there's my name. Oh, I just put new text in there. I didn't edit. I wanted to edit that one. Oh, it's the little settings gear. So, oops. There's another actually interesting way to enter text on this, which is clever, and I'm going to do that when I go and configure an RTMP source. Okay, now I can get rid of this one. So this one I can put in my website. Okay, now I've got that graphic created, and we'll go ahead and hit save. And here it is, ready to go, and I can again push it on air. So if you look at the end result, you can see the graphic is now in the corner. Here's one that I made earlier. That one's more fun. That's more like my style. This really needs a keyboard mouse input. So I think it actually does. I don't have a USB keyboard, but I do have a USB mouse here. And I plugged in the receiver for that mouse. It's a little wireless. Oh, you can see it on, you can kind of see it. It's plugged into the back here. It's just a little USB receiver for this thing. And if you go into the settings, you can set up mouse. And now there's a little cursor on the screen. So now I can use the mouse to control the whole thing. And I think it does it with a keyboard too, but I don't have a USB keyboard here to try it with. Okay, so that's text overlays. You can see that you can just create them on the device itself, which is pretty cool. I do want to show you the alternate text entry method, which is fascinating. So let me go and just like add a new text field. If you're ever in one of these text fields, you can tap this QR code button, and then it shows you a QR code on the screen. And if you scan it with your phone, it'll show you a website and take you to a website. And I'm connected to the device now from my phone. So anything I type in here is now sent to the device, which I thought that was extremely clever. And that also means you can copy and paste stuff a lot faster. So, okay, that is cool. I'm a fan of that method. That's how I was able to copy and paste stream keys into this a lot better than having to manually type them on this little thing. Okay, this tab, this TT, this one I think is for, it's meant to be for like captions. So you can create like full on captions for your program, and then show them line by line here, which I am not planning on scripting this video, so I'm not going to type out everything I'm going to say. But that is a cool feature too. Let's talk about audio. So it does have an audio mixer here also. And that means that any of your inputs, you can enable audio from any of your inputs. So SDI audio, HDMI audio, your network source, video playback source, and it's got XLR inputs also. So there are XLR jacks on the side for inputs. However, I tried plugging in my microphone and it doesn't, I think it's expecting a line signal from like a mixer. So I didn't have a way to actually test that because I don't have a mixer with XLR outs, but that's what it would be for. And it is, there are two XLR jacks, but it's meant to be a stereo XLR. And if you go into the settings again, there is a setting in audio for if you want only one channel. So if you want to copy your left channel to the right channel and only have one XLR plugged in, you can do that here as well. Okay. That's audio. Anything else on that? I don't see any audio effects, so I don't see any like settings for other than this. This is the audio tab. So we've got denoise XLR on or off, which I don't know exactly what that's doing. But then it does have, oh yeah, there's also analog audio out, which you can change the volume of here. It does have audio delay for the physical inputs. So for the XLR on the side, you can add a delay, and you can also type in your own custom delay here. So most of the settings are for the XLR input, not for the HDMI or the digital sources. There is this audio follow on off, which I'm assuming is going to mean that as I switch sources, it's going to change. Yeah. So, oh, it looks like I have to also enable them. But you can see that now it actually muted HDMI because I'm on the SDI input. And if I switch back to HDMI, it goes and grabs that audio again. So it'll auto follow, but only from the sources that are enabled here. Audio delay didn't appear to be variable. It is here. You have to go and tap here and then you can customize it. So I can go 250. Now it's set to that one. Okay, audio. What's next? Let's look at Scoreboard. I don't really do this stuff, so I'm not going to be the best one to demonstrate this, but I will just show you. It does have a scoreboard feature in here too. And again, it ships with a bunch of templates. So if you go into the template tab, it has a couple of these, what are called general, then it's got some basketball themed ones, football themed ones, ping pong, and badminton and volleyball. And I guess the reason that they do this is because the scoring mechanisms are different for these games. So it gives you different controls. So for like, I think volleyball had some, I don't know how to score volleyball, but you'll see that down here, the section on the bottom will actually change based on what kind of game I'm in. So let's go load up ping pong. Oh, that one was the same. I don't know anything about sports. Football, that one. So it changed, right? It changed what options are available down in the little scoring thing. And basketball. Yeah, now we've got you can increment the score by 3 or 2 instead of tapping one by one. So that's the scoreboard feature. It is, again, super flexible because you can go in and there was a whole section on customizing it. Oh yeah, so you can upload your little team icons too. So if we've got team A, and they can be this sun that is very sad, and that little icon appeared. Team B, the exclamation points, and then so all the different scoreboards have the option for loading and graphics like that. Okay, scores, layouts. There are multi-view options or picture-in-picture options, and there's a whole bunch of them. And this is actually something I'm super excited about because it seems like very few devices can do more than one picture-in-picture. So the way this works, it's a little bit funny, but notice how there's these little on the layout options, which are here, there are these little letters. And the letters correspond to the section on the right here, which is how you configure which input goes in which box. So for a simple two input picture-in-picture, HDMI 1 will be the big one, and then we can put, for example, the SDI one, which is over here in box B, and then if I bring that into program, it's putting in the small little picture in the corner. Or I can reassign, I can say, actually, that one's going to be B. Or I can go do side by side A and B. And that one's a little nicer. But there's a lot more options also. You can do all 4. So you've got, one big one with 3 little ones. You can also do these ones with a picture in the back. So this is cool. This is for kind of like the super source that I do for when I show you my computer screen. I can do HDMI 1 in box A. I can do the overhead in box B. And then if I tap this config button, you can see that you can actually change the background. So I'm going to use my color overlay, and that's the background layer. And it's giving me a freeze frame of whatever is on the picture. So you can see it reloads the image when I tap that refresh button. save that, and now I've got this side by side with a custom image in the background, which is pretty cool. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of layouts. Oh yeah, the custom background image can be saved per layout. So for this option, I can go and say, actually, I want that artwork for this layout. Probably wasn't the best one to choose for that. But now when I'm in this, you get that artwork, and then in this layout, I get different artwork in the background. So yeah, they give you a bunch of these options, a bunch of different layouts. You can also customize the layout. So if you again go to this config, notice I'm in box B is selected, so I can change the position by tapping the up and down. I can drag it also, so you can just build your own layouts here really easily. It's difficult to drag it precisely, which is why they give these little arrows, I think. And changing the width or the height. Oh, that's locked. So there I can make it a little bigger, make it smaller. So you can just build your layouts right onto the thing. Pretty cool. Okay. What do you want to see next? We've got video playback. We should show video playback. So I've got one clip loaded in here, but again, you can load in graphics and videos from a USB drive and then load it into the device. All the playback does have to be from the internal drive, so you can't play back video files from the USB. You do have to copy them in first. So you'll want to go first, make sure you've copied the video into your video folder. So I did not do that. Let me go to the settings, file transfer. I'll go back to my video folder. And then let's grab my stress test clip, 28 megs, copy that over. It takes a sec. There it goes. Done. And now it's on the internal drive. So now when I go back here to load a video clip, here is the clip. And I've got two video clips here. So I can say, there's different playout options too. There's this little button down at the bottom for the looping options. So that'll loop one clip. You can make it loop through the whole playlist. You can have it just play one. And then when you tap it, it will cue it into the player. And it's not going to go live until you actually press the input or one of the layouts. So if I go to a layout that actually has A and B, let's go to this one. There. Oh, and then I want the DDR to be on input B. So this is my stress test video clip, which is a good test of this to see how well it can handle this. I did have to transcode the video first in order to into a format that this can play. So it is pretty specific about what formats it can play. They do have a Windows utility that you can download that does the transcoding. However, it's actually just a wrapper around FFmpeg. So I was able to go and look at the actual commands it's running and do it on my Mac instead to create these video clips. It is just specific settings of a video file that you have to use for it in order for it to be able to play back the video. So I did have to transcode these all, which means my stress test video clip is not the raw video that it normally is when you download it from the website. It is transcoded once, but we can at least see how well it's playing this back in terms of seeing how many frames it's able to handle. You can see that little chaser on the bottom is actually doing pretty well. It is not skipping many, and I do see it skipping a couple every now and then. The reason I call this a stress test clip is because I've designed this all to be very challenging to encode. So it's doing a lot of work on this file, so it is pushing it to the limit. If you are curious, I do have that clip for sale. You can download them on their linked from my website. So if you go to I'll drop the link in the chat. Here's the stress test video clips, and it's a good test of different encoders to see how well they handle stressful situations. Okay, that's video playback. Yeah, I did mention that you have to transcode the videos first. Oh, a couple good questions about layouts. Let me go back to the layout tab. Can you use the mouse to build the layouts? I believe you can. As far as I can tell, anything that I'm doing on the screen is also possible to do with the mouse. So I can go here to edit this, and then I can, so I can drag it with the mouse. I don't know if I can I drag? No, there's no resizing option. Oh, there is. You can drag that corner. Drag the bottom corner to resize it. And then we can, looks like this layout is fixed to just A and B. I don't have a way to turn on C in this layout. Okay, and then there was another question. Are the number of layouts fixed, or can you save more? That is a good question. Looking through the window here, I don't see a way to add more. So it looks like you do just get these layout options that you can then customize. Good question. Can you draw on the program out screen? It's a touch screen, but I don't have any, there's no like drawing canvas, if that's what you mean. Okay, let me see if there's any other tabs to go over here. We talked about CG, we talked about TT, subtitles, images, layouts, scoreboard, audio. Oh, this is the PTZ tab, which I don't have any PTZ cameras. But if you do have PTZ cameras plugged into these sources, this can then control them, which is also pretty cool. This is how you would configure what kind of camera it is and the IP address and all that stuff. One of these days, I will have to get one because then I can play around with this stuff. And then transitions. Okay, so it does have these transitions, which I will say I don't think this is the best implementation of transitions. So there aren't very many that I would actually use, first of all. But now if I have this selected and I tap on another source, you can see how it slides down. Slide from left, slide from right. I don't think those are great. There's slide away. Pretty much only one I would ever use is fade out. You can change the duration down in the corner here, thankfully, so I can do a quick fade, which is probably nicer. So that is nice. Okay. Here's a good question. What's the best way to get a video background? Maybe picture-in-picture mode with DDR behind the layers in front. I like this. I like this question. Let's see if we can do it. So I'm going to go to the Layout tab, and then let's pick a layout with 3 inputs. So we can't use the one with P because that's just for a still picture. We might have to do it with this 4 up. So let's take the... Let's go to this clip, play that on loop. Okay, so now in the layout, let's configure this. Can I make... I want a video background. So I want my main camera. I want B to be this one, that one. I want... No, let's make it the overhead. So that's HDMI 2. I want the video to be on C, and then we're going to not use D. So let's see if we can do this. Let's get rid of D. Can I move it out of the way? Can I get it out of the screen? No, I can't. And I can't... Oh, you can crop them too. That's useful. I didn't actually realize that. That's great. Crop. Now I've got Now I've got that little close-up of my monitor. And then, oh, I messed up. No, the sources are just out of sync. C should be the playback. Why is it not? C is supposed to be DDR. Well, we'll see what happens when I turn it on air. This is what I want. I would want to make that full screen as the background. I can't tell what the stacking is. That's interesting. I can't tell the stacking order. I think it might be... I really can't tell the stacking order. Oh, this is a good challenge. So let me just try pushing this on air to see what it actually looks like now that the layout's built. Go program. Okay, so it did successfully play the video clip, but A is behind it. So I think it might be D, C, B, A going down. So we have to use, the bottom would be A. So we have to put the video on layer A, and then now we can reconfigure. We want A to be full screen. We want C, which is my camera, to be, where's the corner? We want the camera to be smaller, and I can't get rid of B. I can't get rid of D, so we have to just deal with it. But I can do like a, let's see, I can do a side by side. Now let's take a look at that. Yeah, that's working. I've got side by side with a video background. This is not the best video background. I should have brought in my little slower animation. Someone's paying attention. On the config screen, there's a plus sign at the top right and file name. So it looks like you can save templates. Oh, okay. So this is this one, config plus, it's disabled. What is that for? No, I can't click it. It's just, yeah, I don't know what that's for. Good eye though. Okay. As far as I can tell, the layouts are, I think the layers are, I think what's happening is when I'm in the editor, whatever I am looking at gets shown on top. See how A pops up on top? But I think it's going to, yeah, it is still in the background. So it's just in the editor, it just puts it on top so you can see it. I'm pretty sure the order is A is on the bottom and then B, C, and D. Okay, that's distracting. Let's get that out of there. Yeah, so there is a, it's definitely a lot going on here. Okay, that's the layouts. We talked about PTZ and transitions. Cool. So some of the other stuff that I wanted to show is the remote camera feed. So let's go to my network source. Instead of showing you the multi-view, I'm going to go to this Live Plus. So here is what I'm going to do is go to my, on my phone, there is an app called Streamix. And if I, let me go back out, here, scan the code to join. So it's connected. And now notice that it's showing up as a source here. So the other thing is the phone isn't streaming by default, so you do have to tap this stream button. And then I can select it. And now my phone is a camera for this device. And you can see it's showing there. So I can go put it on my little tripod. Let's go back to the front camera. Oh yeah, wow, that front phone camera does not like that ceiling light. There we go. So my phone camera looks like that. And it is, it's now this little wireless camera. I can flip it around, show you around the room, show you the giant mess of stuff. It's pretty much instant. I don't see really any lag, much lag. There's a little bit of a lag. You can compare the different, my hand to the different video sources. But it's pretty good. It's definitely good. And now my phone is a camera, which is honestly pretty cool. And I am a big fan of using phones as cameras for that kind of stuff. I would use that as a wide shot for a room. So in a conference or a meetup setting, I would often use the SlingStudio. And honestly, this is actually reminding me a lot of the SlingStudio, which it didn't have a display itself, but you had to use an iPad with it. So you would take an iPad, connect to the SlingStudio, and then the iPad was the control surface. And it let you do a lot of stuff like switching cameras, building the layouts. This does a ton more than the SlingStudio does. But one of the other things I liked about the SlingStudio is that you can connect iPhones as cameras, and that is super useful for just like, you need a roving camera. It doesn't have to be the best quality. You just need that shot, and it has to be really far away, and you don't want to deal with long HDMI cables or wireless HDMI transmitters and all the bulk that they come with. Okay. Can you right-click the mouse to do anything? No. As far as I can tell, there's nothing with the right-click. Yeah. Play out. Oh yeah, so there's outputs on this thing too. There are, what's on the back? There's HDMI for the monitor. So if you look at this camera, this monitor is connected to the HDMI out, monitor out of the device. And it's actually showing me an exact copy of what's on the screen. So whatever's on the screen in front of me, I am also seeing it on this monitor. The other output is, I think it's, am I remembering correctly? I don't want to move it. There's HDMI program out and SDI. Yeah, okay, it does. It has both HDMI and SDI program outputs on the back as well. So I did actually run this over to into my SDI matrix, so I can actually show you the, well, that's how you're seeing the multi-view. That's running to my matrix, but the SDI output, I can show you the clean output from it. No, I can't. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it got plugged into. Anyway, it does have HDMI and SDI program out, so you can run it to a recorder or output to other gear if you want. Streaming options and recording options. So let's go take a look at those. So we talked about the file transfer section. Oh yeah, there's also this FTP upload section, which is reminds me of the same idea as the Epiphan, where it can auto upload recordings. So if you configure it, it'll just upload all of the recordings automatically, which is kind of cool. I can see that being useful. But the recording tab, this is your recording settings, but it does also do ISO recording. So you can tell it which channels you want to record, and you can tell it to record all of them when you're recording. And then you can choose your audio bitrate and all that stuff. So then if you hit record, it's just going to ISO record everything all at the same time, and that will show up as files on the hard drive. Again, it does record to the hard drive internally, not your external storage. So you can then, after you're done recording, if you go back into the file transfer, you can go and see the files in the record folder. Here are your channels. Here's one from today. And here are the files it just made. And then you can go and export them over to your USB drive if you want. Streaming. So same idea, you get a bunch of streaming settings. You can stream anything from 365, 4720, 1080. You can also stream in portrait mode, which I find really interesting. It'll just rotate the video, and that's, I guess, for Instagram. Choose your bit rate, choose your frame rate. There's actually your full frame rate settings are over here for the system, but for streaming you can stream to as a different frame rate if you want. And then you get all these different options for where to stream to. So you can configure RTMP as well as SRT. So I can stream to SRT sources or destinations, which is pretty cool. For my RTMP, I'm going to turn on, let's stream to my live.armpk.tv. I think the stream key is cut off, so you can't actually steal my stream. And I'm also going to stream to my, this one down here is actually a hardware device. It's the Magewell SDI receiver, and it's sitting over in my ATEM. And that is, that's so I can capture that stream locally. So let's go ahead and start that stream. And now if you go to the website live.armpk.tv, which is what I use for testing this kind of stuff, in a couple seconds, it should be getting the stream. Did I do that right? Did I configure RTMP? Yeah, okay, it is on. Oh, maybe it's going to my test one. Yeah, it's going to my test.armpk.tv. So here, you can actually look at the stream in another tab if you want. So pull that up, and you'll see that's the actual stream from the device itself. The other thing I can do is show you the stream that the ATEM is receiving from the RTMP server. So that is this. I think my audio is going to be delayed now. This is the audio delay of between the RTMP stream being received, which is actually surprisingly little, but this is the Streamix device streaming over RTMP to my machine over there that's being captured by the ATEM to show you back on YouTube. And we'll get out of that because the audio delay is probably annoying. But it wasn't actually that much of a delay, which I think is pretty cool. So that's the streaming options. And yeah, if we go back into the settings, you can see it's got a bunch of services support built in. It's got the login with YouTube. I think it's turned off because I'm in the middle of streaming. It's got Facebook. I don't know what AndLive is. I don't know what that one is, but you can also do SRT. So 2 SRT streams if you want. That is almost in sync. Fascinating. I don't really know why it's almost in sync. That's good. What's the internal capacity of the drive? It is, I believe it's 250 gigs, or maybe 240 or something. But actually up on the top of the screen, you can see, it shows you how much disk space is left. So that's showing me my free space. So if I hit record, it'll start counting down, depending on how fast this is recording. And it's also showing me my upload and download speeds as well. So it's uploading 15 megabits a second because I'm streaming to 2 places. One is my local network, one is my test website. And the download is because it's getting a stream from my phone over here. So that one is still running. Okay, what else can I share? I think we're coming up to the end of the list of features. Let's just go through the tabs really quick. Network is DHCP. Oh yeah, it's got Wi-Fi built in too, which obviously run it on Ethernet if you can, because that is going to get you a better connection. But it does have Wi-Fi built in. I didn't plug in the antenna, but there is an actual antenna for it that you can attach as well. So it's better than just a built-in antenna. Audio settings we talked about. Oh, this is configuring the on-screen display. This section. Oh, thanks for the super chat. Thanks, Darren. Good demo, interesting device. I appreciate it. The Remote CG is a Windows program that you can download that apparently lets you configure the title generators on a computer and push it to this, which is really cool. I didn't install that app because I don't have my Windows computer here, but it is that's the remote. That's what you can do remotely, as far as I can tell. Okay, show clock. Where does that show up? Oh, interesting. It's on the screen. I wonder if it's in the program feed. Let's look at the actual program feed again. It is. Okay, it is showing the clock on the program feed. I don't know why you would want to do that. I guess having it there as the option is good. Great. Live Plus. That's the thing that lets you connect your iPhone. Oh, right. You can link this to other services too, or other devices like this. I don't have enough things to actually show you how this one works. But again, you can swap out your, or rather you can send from one of these inputs to a Live Plus server, which is what they use to link a phone and this. So I think that means you can actually bring in, you can link two of these together so that you can do like a remote joint show, which is really interesting workflow, but I don't have another one of these to test with. We talked about file transfer. Uh-oh. There it goes. We talked about FTP upload. Oh, it is, it's working hard. I can tell it's starting to lag a little bit when I tap. Probably because it's doing everything. So if I go back and tell it to stop recording, I bet it'll speed up a bit. It's definitely working hard now. Okay, come on, stop recording. There it goes. This is a good question. Is the OS based on Android? As far as I can tell, it is not. I don't know for sure, but based on my experience with Android, this does not seem to be anything like it at all. So there's no so the YoloBox is based on Android, and you can tell because of the way that the buttons look and the way the interface works, and you can actually get into you can see the Android keyboard pop up, for example. But when I go into the keyboard here, it looks totally different, right? It's its own little on-screen keyboard, which is definitely not the Android keyboard. So I don't think this is based on Android at all. I don't know what OS it is, but it does not appear to be Android. It could be some sort of, it could be some sort of Linux. I don't know for sure. Andre says, might be a nice substitute for YoloBox, but not on par with an ATEM. It's a different thing. It's a totally different thing. And honestly, I don't think I would replace my studio ATEM with this, but I probably would bring this to a remote gig rather than bring my ATEM and everything that I would need in order to make the ATEM work well. Because, I pretty much rely on the Stream Deck at this point for controlling the ATEM and Companion, which is a Raspberry Pi at the smallest, and the Stream Deck device. And I've built a stand to hold the ATEM and the Stream Deck, but it's still a lot. And this is just so much more in the package for doing on the field stuff, which I think is what I would. I could definitely see bringing this out. I do think that this would replace a lot of my use of the SlingStudio, which is quite old at this point. I am surprised they've been just gone for a while. They've been out of the picture. I haven't heard anything from them in a long time. But I really enjoyed the SlingStudio because of how much it can do all in one package and the wireless camera ability. Really useful for when I'm just don't want to bring a bunch of wires to stuff. I understand how anybody watching this still thinks the ATEM is better. Well, here's the thing. I don't even know if one is better than the other. They're just very different. The ATEM still, I think, is great for what it is, which is hardware-based switcher, and it's reliable, it's stable. I know how to use it. I know how to script it and automate it. As far as I can tell, this does not have remote control capability, so that is one big difference there. Like, you have to do things from the screen, so you have to actually like touch it. You can use a mouse, which is cool, but there's no, as far as I can tell, no remote control protocol for it, so I can't connect a Stream Deck to it. Oh, this shortcuts tab. I really should have. Does anybody know if Apple keyboards? Anybody know if these things act as USB keyboards when you plug them into USB? Because this is the only keyboard I have. Disk said SDB0 on the file manager. Good catch. It did. You are right, which is a good suggestion that this thing is running Linux underneath. Aaron says, yes, I'm assuming that's the keyboard question. Let me go grab a cable then, because then I can test out what it does with when it's acting as a keyboard. Where is the nearest lightning cable? I think it's this one. It's just very short. So I'm going to plug this in instead of my USB drive. And we're going to see if this works. There's that. Not the best cable for this. Okay, definitely awkward. But I should have the ability to hit buttons now. Let's see. Let's see if I can type into something. Here, edit. Can I type with this keyboard? I can. Look at this. Cool. So great. That means if we go over to the settings again, shortcuts are enabled. Now, when I press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it should switch sources. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, cool. Okay, that's useful. That's good to know. Okay, other questions before we wrap up? What's the fan noise like? Excellent question. It actually has fan settings. So if you go again into the settings menu, you can tell it what fan speed to run. 10, 30, 50, or your own percentage. I had that set to 50. How would I describe this fan noise? It is audible. I'm, again, obviously like a foot away from it, so I can definitely hear it. It is a lot quieter than my 16-inch MacBook when that fan is going, but I definitely can hear it. I assume that if you're doing streaming and recording and pushing it really hard, you would want to run the fan at least 50%. But if you're maybe doing less stuff with it, you can drop the fan speed down. Okay, this is a good point. The fact that there's keying in the ATEM seems to give you a lot more flexibility. Yeah, as far as I can tell, there is no keying in this at all. So you don't get the ability to use external graphics generators really, because you would need to be able to key that out. So this only lets you, like, the graphics are built into this device. So I've got my little, channel, my little graphics down in the corners, which I can bring onto the screen and stuff like that. But I can't use an external graphics generator. It is the all-in-one thing. Yeah, if there's a way to use it with the Stream Deck, that'd be amazing. So yeah, that is, as far as I can tell, not something you can do. I don't see any options for external control of this other than keyboard and mouse. I have a fully built custom case, and honestly, this piece of device could simplify it all. Yeah, that's the thing is like once you start wanting to bring the ATEM around and carry it around, you do have to start adding a bunch of stuff to it to make it useful, and then it starts to get big. So for smaller events like this kind of stuff, I really like. Question: will the overlay disappear with a transition? Oh, good question. Let's find out. So let's show the overlay, and then if I switch cameras, it stays on, and I don't see any options either. So that means it stays on until you bring it off. Did I miss how much it does or might cost? So this is, I did put a link to the DVE store down in the description. So you can pre-order it from there. And I believe their price for it was, just checking on my computer, $3,000. So it's not cheap. But again, it does so much more, so much stuff in here. Can you add more than one overlay at a time? Yes, you can. So I don't know if there's a limit, but you can definitely add more than one, and then you have to turn them off individually as well. Was the timestamp updated during real time when continuously displayed in the output video? That would be useful for legal depositions. That is a fantastic use case. Yeah, so you can, if we go back into the OSD settings, hour, minute, second, you can do the full date, turn it on, and then go back out. And now you can see it's got the full up in the corner here. And that is on the stream. So, oh, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it, Art. So yeah, the timestamp is baked into the stream, so that'd be a good use for that. Does the vertical output crop or rotate? I believe it crops. So let's go take a look at that. I think I have to stop the stream in order to do that. So stop that and go to the settings. And then let's get rid of that. In the, where was it? Streaming? Yeah. Portrait. There's a little gear icon. So it is going to crop, and you can choose where it crops. So that's cool. Center. Great. No, I'm apparently sitting a little bit off center. Save that. And now let's go start the stream again. I have no idea what anything is going to do when it receives a stream that's not normal shaped. Oh, look, it's showing me the little overlay of what the of where the vertical stream is, which is pretty cool. So, okay, it's streaming to that test website. Oh, my keyboard is not plugged into my computer anymore. That's great. There we go. Connected. Okay, if you go look at the test stream, my server seems to be handling it fine. And if I show you the RTMP feed from this is what the device is actually streaming. Again, the audio is probably slightly off right now. This is being received by the Magewell decoder, which is then outputting it into the ATEM, which is why it's showing you vertical. So I guess if you're streaming to like Instagram, then Instagram knows what to do with vertical video, and it works just like you expect. Not that you can stream to Instagram, but streaming to things that support vertical video will work as expected, because it's actually pushing a vertical, or it's pushing a cropped version of the stream. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. I won't buy this, but you educate me every time. It's not for everybody. It's definitely, for a specific workflow, and I think it could be great for some people, and other people just don't need it. That's fine. Thanks for joining, Mark. Good to see you. I think this device can be useful to bring remote guests to live show with a mix of features live plus SRT and multi-layouts. Yeah, I think there's some really interesting opportunities for remote contribution workflows with other kinds of devices as well. The lag when streaming and recording is the biggest concern for reliability. Yeah, I did notice that it once it starts doing all of its functions, it does get a little bit laggy, which is a little bit concerning, but it does still work. And as far as I can tell, the stream didn't actually drop or anything like that. Let me go back to the regular one. No USB out. Correct. There are 2 USB ports, but they are for input. They're actually different speeds. The bottom one is the fast one, so you can plug in USB drives, and then the top one that you would use for like a keyboard and mouse. Can you adjust the portrait layout? You can choose where it is cropping. Have you mentioned the 4G SIM card functionality? I have not. I did not actually know that it had that. Let's see if there's any thing in the manual about it. I don't see it, that feature, mentioned in the manual. I do see something called special effects. Oh, that's the transition. Okay. Oh, somebody asked about a stand, which just occurred to me that I didn't even show that. There is a built-in stand. There's a little kickstand. If you pop this out, it'll stand up like that now. There, you can kind of see it. It's kind of cool. So that lets you, it's a nicer angle for me using it. However, now the top-down camera isn't good, so that's why I had it flat. But yeah, this is a lot nicer to actually use it for myself here. There is a slot for a SIM card. There is a slot for a SIM card. I see it. It says SIM on the bottom. That's interesting. Does it open? How do I open this? I didn't even notice this. I can't get it open though. It's totally stuck. I don't know how to open this. Well, that's interesting, but I don't think I'm going to have any luck. If that really does have a SIM card slot, that is pretty cool. Can you crop the HDMI SDI outputs to portrait mode for Instagram? The HDMI outputs? I don't think so, no. I think it's just the streaming. Because if you go look at the settings, the streaming tab is where the crop is. So it's not in the it's not in just like there actually aren't settings for SDI out. So it's just the streaming that lets you do the crop. It's locked when in use. It's true. Maybe I should try that when it's not powered on. Or it's just for a different version. If they are using the same case for different versions of this. Interesting though. Cool. Okay. I think that's it. I think that's everything that I wanted to show. I showed you how to connect iPhones into this. I showed you how to do graphics generating. I showed you video playback. We've got scoreboards. We've got the different layouts, which are really cool. This kind of stuff, I love this because this is what I would use for conference recording. I would show the speaker in that box, and I would show their slides in the wide one, and then I put the conference branding in the background. And this is absolutely perfect for that use case because it does everything. It'll record it to the disk as well as stream it to multiple places, and it's just all in this one box. I don't have to bring anything else to fiddle with it. I didn't see any LTE settings in the network. That is a good point. I don't know if that's because it doesn't exist or because there's no LTE card, but yeah, there's nothing in here about LTE. There's a speed test. So you can do a speed test to a server and see how fast I can push to China. 30, 40, 62, 86, 83. Wow, cool. Upload rate 42. Can you crop the inputs to portrait mode? Yeah, so it's actually the streaming output that gets cropped, not the individual inputs. So it's everything gets cropped to match that. So if you go back to the streaming tab and hit portrait, then this middle area is now what would be streamed if I hit on air. So you obviously would want to make sure that your layouts reflect that. Is it possible to use the Mars wireless transmitter as an input? Oh my God, if it is, I'm going to be super excited. I didn't see any mention of that in the manual. As far as I can tell, the wireless input is for, let's see, let's take this one, wireless video transmitter. I think this is for plugging in that Syscom 421 device, and I don't have one to test with. But that's the references I was seeing in the manual. I didn't see any references in the manual to their other Hollyland transmitters, which is too bad because that would be really cool. But if anybody knows, maybe I misunderstood the question, but Bailey is making a good point. Obviously, a wireless transmitter would work if you plug it in over HDMI. So if you take the wireless receiver from Hollyland, plugged in over HDMI or SDI, that of course works. What I was curious about is, can the transmitter talk to this thing directly? And I don't think it can. But there is a section here on page 13 that talks about the wireless option, and this is what it's showing. So the wireless transmitter channel is used to load the Syscom 421 video stream. So you would take that over HDMI, SDI, or over Ethernet. And I don't have one of these, so I don't really know how that works. That's why I'm a little bit confused. But if you connect it over Ethernet, it looks like you can get your wireless cameras in that way. Yep. Without the receiver, yeah, that's what I was hoping for. The Syscom 421 actually transmits via RTSP, so that might be why. Okay, that explains it. So it's just pulling an RTSP feed, which I did from that other encoder that was showing you my multi-view of the ATEM. So if I switch from the phone, if I go over to the net stream and grab that one, that's going to pull in my multi-view from the ATEM now in a second. There it goes. And that's an RTSP feed, which I guess would be the same thing it would be using for the Syscom. And I should be able to show you, like, I can pull my security camera feeds, I guess, too. Which would be interesting. Can iPhone work for remote guests? I don't know, actually, if the iPhone connection requires you to be on the local network. I assume it does, but I'm not actually sure. Anybody want to try it? I can try this, but get off my Wi-Fi. So I'm going to turn off my phone's Wi-Fi, which is on my studio. So I'm on LTE, which is now outside of this network completely. But let's go to the Hollyland app, the Streamix app rather, and let's go back. Okay, scan the QR code to join. Connecting to something. Connecting. It did show up. What? That's wild. And I can stream over my LTE connection. So that's interesting. That means, yeah, so that's coming over LTE, and it's not even that slow. That means, yes, you can use that to bring in a completely remote feed. It does not have to be on the same network at all. That is very cool. So that means if anybody had scanned that QR code, it would show up as a source. If you scan this right now, you will show up here. That is cool. If it natively had Mars integrated, it'd be an instant purchase. I agree. That is a very cool thing. How's the audio from the phone sound? I mean, as good as my phone audio, I guess. Which the microphone on the new iPhones is really good. What size is the display? It looks like a 13, similar to an iPad 12.9. I think they said it's 11, but for comparison, here is a regular iPad. So it's slightly bigger than a regular iPad. Quite a bit bigger than the display of a regular iPad, but about the same physical size. When in portrait mode and streaming, can you then move the overlay? No, I don't think so. So if you go into the settings for here, this is where you configure it. And if we are streaming that, yeah, I can't drag. That's just showing me what it's streaming. You would have to go into here and change it, but you can do it live. That's good. So that did actually change the stream. It cropped live. So if I go to here's my RTMP source. So as I'm changing this, watch, I'm gonna hit go, it jumps. So you can adjust it live, but you can't adjust it from the main screen here. Is anybody gonna iPhone in? Apparently not. Give you plenty of opportunity with that QR code. Oh yeah, without a specific antenna. There's only one antenna slot on the back, and it's for the Wi-Fi antenna. Okay. I think that's it. I think we're done. I think we've taken a look at all the features of this, at least the ones that I can show you with the devices I have here. What is left? I will go back. Oh my gosh, it's been a long time. Okay, this stream has gone on for a very long time. I'm gonna have a heck of a time adding timestamps to this. Let's go head back to the table and wrap this up. I will see you back, or the desk rather. See you back at the desk. I need to make that a little bit slower to be able to make it back over here in time. Okay, so that is pretty cool. Very interesting device. Not cheap, but it can do a ton, and I definitely see a lot of interesting use cases for it. I do want to thank Hollyland for sending that out to take a look at. I hope you enjoyed getting a sneak peek of it. And ask more questions down in the comments. I'm happy to answer questions later as well. We can take a look at it again next week as well. Can you add an external hard drive? No, you can't add an external one, but you can transfer off and onto. So it looks like it only records to the internal drive, but you can plug in a USB drive or a hard drive to move files off of it. So What's left? Well, we've got next week. Weather is probably the same. Again, thankfully, not going to be ridiculous. So hopefully the wildfires don't start and I can still be back in the studio again. Same story next week. More questions. I will always happy to answer questions about ATEM stuff, live streaming. I will still have this here next week so I can show you more specific stuff if you want. If you have more questions throughout the week. And yeah, I think that's it. It was fun. It was fun show. Thanks all for joining. And let's roll the credits. This was fun. Yes. Have a great 4th. Hollyland products are always interesting. I agree. Definitely some interesting stuff that they're doing. If I hadn't already bought an ATEM Mini Pro and then the Extreme ISO, I'd be very tempted, but money for toys is limited. That is true. All right. Thanks, everybody, and I will see you next week.